Welcome
Hi,
back
everyone.
to the Drawk Show. Oh, sorry, I talked over you. It's a clumsy start to the day. We're going to be fine. So, I gave you a bit of an ultimatum last time where I said you have a choice of either reading to the very pleasant and good ending that everybody loves as a conclusive place to stop, chapter 178, or if you read one more than that, you got to smoke the whole pack, you got to finish all of Alabasta, and we're going to do a mega stream on Saturday.
Yeah, no. Can we pause just for a minute? Can you go
We
back and tell me what you just said about a chapter 178?
I said it's a very nice, it's like a solid conclusive ending. It's a good place to leave on. Definitely doesn't leave you on the hook.
Yeah, I know you really should put it just how horrifying it was for me when I got there and was like, Luffy? Luffy!
It's distressing, isn't it?
It was one of the most distressing things. Yeah, no. You should fall in love with these characters. You know what? You know what, Mom? You know what? This would be the greatest thing ever. Oh, does one of them end up getting hung on a hook?
Getting impaled through the gut on a giant Sandman's hook.
Yeah, absolutely the worst. I
Mhm.
love the way that they kind of made Crocodile face like a rock star. He comes out into the town when the pirates are there attacking him, and then he like descends from the roof as if he's being lowered down to the stage, and he's like, anyone who wants to live, take cover. I don't like you, but gravitas, good for you. It allows him so much more room to maneuver than a king would have, right? Like when you've got a king, they have to stay within some limits. But a rock star, well, they get to party outside of those lines. So no matter what they do, as long as they're giving the crowd what they're looking for, the crowd is going to put their support behind them. So much easier to support somebody like that than it is somebody who has to be a political head and has to do things that might not be popular sometimes. In 156, I just want to point out that for sure, those who are on the train of Nami has special powers with me. She's down inside of the cabin and they come down and they're like, there's smoke, and they're freaking out. And Nami doesn't even look up from eating at the table. And she goes, smoke? No, that's steam. She's sitting inside. She hasn't moved. She hasn't gone anywhere without looking out the window. And she literally says, oh, that? Don't worry about it. It's just steam. So when she says, oh, that, it implies that she already had registered this as existing outside, already knew it was there without going outside, and then was able to ascertain that there was a underwater volcano, and then was like, don't even worry about it. I've already checked out inside of my special powers. Even I am not aware that I have, and it's not a threat.
And I am going to reiterate, I think she just has great intuition. That's my reading of this again when I meant to bring this up last time and I should now because I want people to know who are reading along because we actually do have a surprising amount of people who are going through the series for the first time with you. My policy with what I'm willing to say is based around first impressions. So I am going to reiterate points and perspectives that I had on my first viewing or that close friends of mine had on their first viewing. Because I feel like it's easy to box yourself into a perspective. And I want Mama Drawk to be going through this with the same level of broad perspective that your average reader would have when they were first going through it week to week, which would be, you're not just in your own head on your own first interpretation of things. You have other people's perspectives, which is why I'm willing to talk a little bit about other options as long as they're not informed by future information. They're informed by myself and others' first readings.
We move into capturing Mr. Tu Bonclay. Love that his name is both a male and a female name. And I really loved this moment because I was thinking about it later on as I moved through. We get to see his abilities, which is phenomenal. Who doesn't want to watch somebody change faces? We get to see a friendship that develops, and it feels really genuine prior to knowing who each other are. Like there's this glad handling when they're like, you're so cool, and there's this real kind of friendship and this bond between them. And you can see that because when they hook him and they're talking, he's like actually excited by their friendship and is enjoying showing off for the sake of showing off something cool to friends. And they end up doing the can together. And you can only do a can together if you are good friends. That's a rule. I don't make the rules. I just live by them. So great friends.
I wasn't aware of this rule that you can only do the can with friends, but I'll be sure to keep that in mind in the future.
Yeah, as long as you have that in mind from now on, when anyone is canning together, you know that they've made a fast bond. The other thing that I liked is it reminds us that we actually might like someone if we met them under different circumstances. Like, we often feel like in our real lives or in stories that we don't have a connection with somebody without thinking of the fact that if you had met them out of entirely different circumstances, that you actually could have had a relationship and that you could have been different people together, and that the roles you play often dictate the relationships you can have. And a prediction that I want to make in the future is that Luffy is a role breaker. Not a rule breaker, a role breaker. He lets people see that they can be who they want inside the roles they have. Chapter 157, so we're deep inside now. I just want to say this. Kitty. I just love that.
You keep coming back when we've talked over the phone. I feel like almost every conversation since you started Alabasta, you've brought up the sea kitten.
He's so sweet and sacred. Entire thing for me, the whole of Alabasta is a lesson on balance as a theme, but part 1 is seed planting and part 2 is harvesting. And so because for me, part 1 was about seed planting, it was a lot slower go, and I was trying to look at all the areas in which he was planting seeds and giving us information for the future. So one of those is Smoker's Jacket says justice. It's always said justice. They constantly remind us of that. Mm-hmm. But something that I really liked is that when I started to think about it this time and realized that justice is different from penalty or different from anything else, what it is justice is outside of the law. There are some things that have been correct with the law, but they aren't justice. So I'm thinking of things like the rule of thumb. You're not allowed to beat your wife with anything that is thicker than your thumb. That was a law. Slavery. There were laws around how to have slaves, what it looked like to have slavery, and we can all agree that's gross, but it was law.
I would hope One Piece readers would agree that slavery is bad, yeah.
I would imagine they would. Those are all law-abiding, but they weren't justice. So I think when we remember that Smoker has the word justice on his back, he doesn't have the word law or rule of law. He isn't upholding some idea of what the government is saying. He's upholding the idea of justice, which is very different. Justice relies on your personal ethics and your moral code. And I really love that because it leaves room for Smoker to change as a person more than lots of characters.
Here's what's interesting. The jackets all high-ranked Marines wear have justice written on the back. And I just had to look back on the diary of Kobe Meppo to confirm this. Garp and his assistant both have justice on their things as well.
Which lets me start looking at how the Navy itself can change if justice is their aim. Okay, so moving on. Love the ties on the arms of the team. That's amazing thinking. We don't find out more about that until later, but that's such a great little team bonding exercise when they were all there, and they wrap the things around their arm, and Vivi is part of it. And then we move into a great good dude. So we have our first moment where chat gets to decide something.
Yeah.
Because I know you may disagree with me.
I do. But basically, you said you thought Ace was Luffy's brother, but
I did.
You didn't say it in the prediction corner. But here's what I'm going to point out on listening to it while editing is what you said was, I think he might be related to Luffy. Maybe. I think he might be. They look similar. Maybe he's a cousin or brother. I'll get back to that. I'm pretty sure that's what you said.
Then I said, I think he could be his brother.
Okay. So you have also gone back and double checked?
I have gone back and listened.
Okay, guys. We're going to see what chat thinks in a moment. Purple mushroom for the powers, because you did guess he had water powers, and we can both agree that Ace does not have water powers.
No, he definitely has the opposite of a water power.
Turns out he ate the Mara Mara no Mi, or the flame fruit, and can turn into, create, and control fire, which, ironically, pretty cool power.
Not ironically. That is a wicked power.
I'm not get it? Because cool? Because cool?
No. I didn't get it. That's how beautiful your work is. You're just such a wordsmith.
Oh, no. It's not even close. It's like 89% gold star. All right.
Yes!
Okay. Okay, you get a star. Congratulations, you get a star for saying that Ace could be Luffy's brother, even though it wasn't a prediction corner. Was said
I
a little
said
bit,
his brother.
non-committally.
I didn't say could he be. I said I think he could be his brother. So then we go into Ace. We see him. He's sleeping. He looks dead. Everyone is freaking out. He has two Buddhist symbols on him. So he has the symbol that the jerks stole, the Nazis stole. And so I went back in because I wanted to take a look. And it turns out I had no idea. And I thought I knew about the swastika and its symbolism of peace, but I was wrong. It's the oldest symbol on Earth.
Weird, fun. No wonder occultists like it.
Yeah, and it was a symbol that was used by multiple cultures in different parts of the world that didn't even see each other. The Egyptians used it, the Romans used it, the Celts used it, the Greeks used it, indigenous people in North America used it, and the Vedic used it in their math. And it was a connection of culture. It meant to bring it brought cultures together, and it's peace and good luck and love. And so I thought it was really interesting because he had two symbols on him that were about peace and love and balance. And one of them was that one. And then the other one was that he was wearing his beads around his neck as well. Then he had a really cool thing. He had the happy, sad, I don't know what you call them, buttons. I don't know what you would call them.
I think they're buttons. Little button pendant talisman things on his hat.
Yeah, up there on his hat. So that's that thing I was talking about earlier when I really felt like this realm was about balance. I was thinking how cool it was that how many of the symbols that were used in here were about balance as well. And then his name, Portgaz D. Ace. Portgaz is Latin for gate or entrance. What is he here at the gate of the entrance for? How does that relate to their family? We'll get back into it. But the name, when I looked it up, what does the name mean? I went to this weird little thing that was like, if you have the name Portgaz, what does it mean? It's a name that suggests you give up your wants for others' needs. You are balanced, and your heart's desire is knowledge. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Interesting.
That's some stuff to work with. So right away, he has the balance thing on his head. He's already talking about giving up because he also wanted to be the pirate king, but then he gives that up for Whitebeard because he decides to put his strength behind Whitebeard. So it's really interesting that falls in there. Ace is now the 2nd Division commander of Whitebeard's pirates. And that kind of makes me wonder, like, how does Ace align with things as far as, like, does he have the same type of feelings as Luffy about justice and what is right and wrong? And would he be the same kind of pirate? So I wonder if it's telling me things about Whitebeard or not, if I'm finding out things about him for Ace being willing to give up his own dream to support the dream of others, or if that's just part of who Ace is in his character.
Yeah, we really don't know enough about him to know if he was like Luffy when he was younger, like if he had the same values, the same drive. Like, we really don't know enough to know what giving up on being king of the pirates means to him compared to what it would mean to Luffy.
Yeah, so I kept coming back to that because it doesn't tell us enough about him, but it does tell us that maybe there's a lot more to Whitebeard than we would imagine. And then then once we find out more about Whitebeard, it tells us more about Blackbeard as well.
One thing I'll say that's an observation I had on first reading is we've never seen a pirate who has divisions, let alone division commanders yet. And that immediately tells you something about Whitebeard. Oh, I'm going to say quickly, someone's corrected me. Do you know who else was introduced as a 2nd Division commander and I didn't register because I wasn't paying attention to One Piece early on?
Who was that?
Pearl was introduced as 2nd Division Commander Pearl.
That's right. Can I just say...
So Ace has the same rank as Pearl.
Yeah, they may have the same rank, but that's where the similarities end.
Both have black hair.
Are you kidding my face right now? Are you ever going to try and put Ace...
Ooh, both of them have fire powers, actually. They're both really hard to injure.
You just made me feel sick to my stomach.
I've seen the same fan artist draw sexy art of both of them.
No, stop. Just stop. You're actually making me feel unwell.
A lot of similarities. They're kind of the same man, actually.
Oh, okay. Now you've gone too far. Pull back. Pull back with your ridiculous. So I love that we're in 159, we find out from Luffy that Ace could beat Luffy without a devil fruit, even though Luffy had a devil fruit. So we have confirmation that the powers of their family, in my opinion, are already there because Ace already has the ability to beat somebody with a devil fruit back when they were kids, when he didn't have a devil fruit and Luffy had eaten. And yes, Luffy is young, and yes, he's new to devil fruit, but still, Ace's ability to beat him shows that he is something that is beyond what a normal person has, in my opinion. Ace gives Luffy the little invisible piece of paper. So in prediction world, I think the paper is, and it's invisible. There's invisible ink of some sort on it or whatever, in my opinion. And that I don't know how you get the word to show, but I think it might be the D that's in their name.
Okay.
Whatever the D stands for might be the thing that's on the paper. Because Luffy says in it,
let's use committal language. You might be. It might be.
Let me get back into here. I need to get into 159 first before I make any commitment language. Here, I want you to have that. Huh? Hang on to it always. It's a piece of paper. Yeah, but that piece of paper will bring us together again. Huh? You don't want it? No, I want it. A kid brother like you makes a big brother worry. I think that their name, whatever the D stands for, or their family symbol, it's going to be something that is about their family 100%. And when Luffy either needs it or says it, when he needs it the most, it'll be available and it'll call his brother to him. Also, because Ace is hunting Blackbeard and Blackbeard wants to hunt Luffy's crew, in my opinion, they will.
Okay. Are we adding that to the predictions that Blackbeard will want to hunt Luffy's crew?
1,000,000%.
All right, add to the predictions. The predictions, no more prediction corner. Predictions are just going to be scattered randomly throughout. We're going to collect them like loose paper.
So because Ace is hunting Blackbeard and because Blackbeard is going to be hunting Luffy's crew, we're going to see them come together at that time anyways, 100%.
Okay.
We also meet very important guys in 161. We meet the Kung Fu Jugon, the cutest kids.
Everyone was so excited for you to meet the Kung Fu Dugongs.
Holy crap, I could barely think they were so cute. They kept taking away my ability to have conscious thought. And then we find out about Dance Powder and its ability to summon the rain. We're off in the desert. They're doing their little trip. And then I get to see my poor little Anthony helicopter just not faring well in the good heat. And I got to tell you, I feel very sorry for him. He does come around, but we also get to have Eyelash. Like this section between 162 and 163 should have been called, "Hey, do you like animals?"
Yeah, there's a lot of critters introduced in that zone, huh?
Yeah, it's like one after another. Every page you're like, oh, Eyelash is absolutely fantastic. Crocodile Face says the weather is controlled by the gods. So 2 things there. Number 1, I agree. The weather is probably controlled by the gods. I think that the gods are real on the earth. I've already made that prediction. This pedal goes up. And I agree also that the gods probably do control aspects of weather. And then you can see that there's kind of this moment where Crocodile Face is comparing himself to a god and trying to be godlike by controlling the weather. Oh, no, that was Cobra. I lied to you. It wasn't Crocodile Face. It was Cobra.
Okay, so Cobra says weather is controlled by the gods, which is actually, you do raise a good point that for your theory is interesting when we've now had 2 people controlling the weather, Ace making the snow stop by accident in Drum Island, or maybe on purpose, who knows, and Crocodile making the rain go away with a mix of Dance Powder and his ability to dry the atmosphere with his fruit.
The difference is with Crocodile is that I wouldn't compare Crocodile to a god when I'm looking at this because Crocodile is doing it with the influence of the danced powder.
I mean, I think he is able to stop it from raining with his fruit just by drying the overall atmosphere. But he uses dance powder, so he's...
Yeah, with his fruit.
But that's him.
But the devil fruit don't make people gods. Well, if the devil fruit made people gods, then that bazooka gun is now a god. Since I'm focused on any religious things because I want more and more evidence to build towards my
theories. You made some wild claims, so you're looking for evidence. You're writing your thesis.
Well, no, if I can be fair, I'm no longer looking for evidence.
I
just know in my opinion,
you're right.
Yeah, I'm cool like that. But I want to know the mechanic. Crocodile Face says, "I pray for your success." Why are you praying for success? Why do you believe that gods will listen to you? What are the character of the gods? That made me kind of question that. So then when we get into the I pray for your success, which made me start to question what kind of gods we were dealing with that would like that. Right after that, Toto gives Luffy water, which represents his treasure. So it makes it feel like that water. And they really did make it feel that way when he gave Luffy the water and Luffy helped him out. And he gives him that water, and that feels almost magical when he gives him the little container of water. And it also ends up being a thing that shows Luffy's growth and his character. So he's like, wow, water. And he did them in huge, thick letters. And they're all so excited. He said, just after you fell asleep digging last night, I hit damp sand and I was able to extract some water from it. I don't know what that means, but thanks. I'll drink it real slow. It's genuine Yuba water. I'm sorry there isn't more. Then right after that, Luffy decides to be petulant and say, I quit. And this reminded me that how cool it was that not only did Luffy gain strength from Vivi in learning how to be a leader, but Vivi gained strength from Luffy. So this is that balance I was talking about too. These are the seeds of balance. So one was impulsive and one was less impulsive. One tons of responsibility and one took less responsibility. And together they helped to balance each other out. He wasn't wrong. He was saying like, look, you can't just ignore what the main problem is and fight around it. You have to go to the source. I mean, yeah, it's nice if you don't have to go to the center, but you can't wait forever to actually attack what matters. And it was absolutely incredible to see this because you at first think that Luffy is doing kind of a Luffyism when he's like, no, I'm not going any further. This bores me. And you're like, come on, man. But then you realize, no, he's right. You can't just kitty cat foot around the subject. You have to go into it and you have to take on the person that matters. So it's time to go see Crocodile Face. And I think that was a really great leadership moment that's going to end up doing Vivi really well in the future. And then right away, we see that Luffy is growing in other ways, too, because Usopp's trying to drink the water. And he's like, no, we're not going to waste a drop. An old man stayed up all night so that we could have this water. This water is our most important asset and treats it like the gold that it is. 167, something else that we see a couple of times, we see the idea that the people are the kingdom. This is said multiple times throughout, but this is one of the first times that it's said, saying that all the trappings around the buildings, everything else, the king, the princess, everything else are just things that help the kingdom to run, but the kingdom is really the people. And that was a really beautiful sentiment that's put through the entire thing and really goes in with that Luffy idea that it's relationships that are the main thing. Relationships are everything. Haru returns because he's best boy, fills everyone in, and is a squadron leader, which we didn't know. And come on, like, of course he is.
The Supersonic Duck Squad.
Oh my God, could that be any more adorable? the fact that I don't have a supersonic duck to get to and fro, I would take my supersonic duck to work. We'd hang out, we'd have jokes. It would sit in the corner and watch kids. And then anytime kids were funny, it would laugh at them. Oh, I need a supersonic duck so bad. We also meet Pell and Chaka. Love, love, love Pell. Pell and I high five. They're saying like, oh no, poor Ingram. I can't believe Ingram is dead. And I wrote in my notes, don't worry, he's alive. Because that's one of my predictions. I'm like, nope, that's alive. I really love his decision to do this thing that's similar to what you do when you're looking in historical books, when you're studying battles, the way that he created an open map and showed the directionality of each one of the forces, where they were going, who the main leader was, et cetera, et cetera. That made it really fun to read. And he also did like a countdown of time, which was incredible. Super, super impressed with all the map work in here. It was amazing. We see a little bit of the climate baton from Usopp. So I just want to say, what does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, thank you. That's a gold star for me.
Oh, yeah. You did predict that Usopp would be an alchemist tinkerer. And I feel like alchemist we kind of already had proof of with him making things like the gunpowder star or whatever. But this
climate baton here?
This is tinkering. This is tinkering. You are absolutely correct. Usopp made the climate act, and he is now a tinker alchemist, so I will give you a gold star. It took me so goddamn long to figure out how to edit that shitty little animation of the gold star spinning into place. Like, I swear it was about an hour of my editing time on the last video was like, all right, I haven't used any of these tools. How the fuck am I, how do you move stuff in DaVinci Resolve?
I looked back on that video because I was trying to see a moment of something I said, and I saw me go, will I get a little thing when I get gold stars? And I could see your face, and you were like, well, I guess you have to now. I couldn't believe how easily they let themselves get caught. And some people might argue on this. And them, I would say, no. I was just surprised that the rest of the crew wasn't like, you know what? A little more. Maybe no. Love the introduction of the sea prism. Whenever we find ways of helping to control the devil fruit, I'm always interested.
Sea prism was actually introduced way earlier. It was just a very quick note. It's what's on the end of Smoker's jute.
I knew it was on the end of his thing, but what were the nets made out of that they did?
The
Were
nets
those
had
also sea prism?
little beads of sea prism stone.
Okay, and that's what I was trying to remember. But I like the way that they just set it out here, and then they made all the bars a good reminder that there's a way of helping to control people who have taken the devil fruit. Because right now, I mean, there's no whole bar otherwise. So that was very important.
Especially because, like, you can think about elemental weaknesses for some of the people who can turn into an element, like fire and sand have elemental weaknesses. The fuck is the elemental weakness of smoke?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how do you... Without sea prism, how do you hurt that fucker? Smoke is hard to hit.
The more time that we spend with Smoker, the more I'm like, how the hell do you fight smoke? Like, it's harder than sand.
Oh, absolutely. Now, nowhere near the offensive power of sand and fire.
Oh, I also like the idea that Oda used the same gag again. Absolutely awesome. You're in chapter 168. They're inside of the bar, and they're like, why rain-based Captain Smoker? Call it a hunch. They're sitting back in the bar, and in comes Luffy. Hooray, water! And just walks back out again. I was like, excellent comedic value. Well placed. Well placed. Bravo. They get away. 170, though, for me, the big moment was finding out just how sad I was to find out what Miss All Sunday's devil fruit was.
Yeah, we got to give a purple mushroom because it was not mushrooms and it was not ghosts and it was not telekinesis and it was not electricity
or telekinesis. But I'm gonna miss guessing.
Remember when you were like, why were you stressing that one syllable? What was it? And I said, you can't watch the video because you can't know me taunting you. You were gonna go out on a huge limb to guess Miss All Sunday's powers.
I have to admit, that was clever. You rocked. You rocked it out. The king is kidnapped. Don't love that either. Whatever. I was glad, though, that when everybody was taken and put into the prison, the one thing it did that I really, really liked is it's just a great vehicle to have Smoker have his mind changed more. And it does, right? So it's like such a great area to put them all in together because suddenly you know that Luffy is somebody whose goodness shines through him and people can't help but be pulled towards it. And so I knew that if he spent any time in there, that there was going to be an opportunity for Smoker to change the way he felt about him. Okay, so then we find out about Koza, her great good little friend, because we needed another dagger in Vivi's heart. She was too happy. What was happening is Vivi was just lollygagging through life without any adversity to make her a better leader. And they were like, we got to give her something. So you know what I was thinking too, is that Koza and the king feel the exact same way about the kingdom, which is really, really interesting. Koza also believes that the kingdom are its people, just like the king does. They both have the same opinion. They both treasure the people. That's their treasure because they treasure the kingdom, but the kingdom is the people. And I think it's really cool to see this parallel thing going on where Koza thinks he's doing the very best thing that he can, but in actuality, he's hurting his kingdom. What a heartache to find out that the thing that you are trying to protect with your whole heart is actually the thing that you have had a hand in destroying. Absolutely crushing, devastating, horrific. We're going to see them again. We are going to see them again. And Koza is going to be very important at some point. And I think that because in a lot of the parts of this arc, you see him have to...
We gonna slap down a prediction that Koza is going to be important?
Koza is going to be important.
All right, put it in the predictions. Someone wants to know if you think Pearl is going to be important in the future.
I think that it's going to be really important to run him over a few times.
Who do you figure is going to be more important, Pearl or Wapple?
God, they both suck so bad, but Wapple. Don't forget we have the fake king moment and the kid sees it.
Right. We have the fake king. That's important.
Now, Kaizo think that the kid was also injured by the king, his men. And then I wrote down here, don't worry, kid. You're going to fix everything. I can feel it. Escaping the cages. So let's just put that somebody in the because we have a Discord chat room for book talk. Every once in a while I go in there. They were saying that Sanji had to have this characteristic of being so gross with women because they needed to do something to give him a flaw, because otherwise he would just come off way too well, because there's so many things about him that are fantastic that if you didn't have this thing, he would end up being way too good. It seems like so many times they keep Sanji out of whatever the action is, and he is always the one who's not being captured, and he's always where else coming back in and having to rescue them. I think Sanji should take a book and just mark down times I wasn't captured and needed to rescue you from cages.
Sanji is the go for win condition character. He looks at what's needed for the Straw Hats to win. He's like, all right, everybody else is thinking about who we've got to beat up. I'm going to think about like a little bit more broadly what we need to do in order to actually make it out of this alive, in order to win.
It's really cool because when you see somebody like Crocodile Face, who looks like a rock star, acts like a rock star, is swiggity swagging his way around the world, creating layered issues that actually are able to reef a nation into two and create factions that he's able to take advantage of those to get what he wants. And then you have somebody call up and says, yeah, this is Restaurant La Crap. And you watch that other character lose their swiggity swag and just get like so pressed and so pissed off that Sanji gets under his skin immediately. And then Vivi goes out to find Sanji, and Sanji, as one does. As usual, he's doing the coming out for the rescue. Miss All Sunday gets to see Crocodile being his usual disgusting self, breaking the bridge, trapping all sorts of people inside. We're planting seeds in Smoker, where he's starting to see that the Straw Hats are actually working from a good place, filled with worry and love and respect for others. Mm-hmm. But they'll do what needs to get done in order to make people safer, especially friends. And then we see Miss All Sunday, who's realizing that her allegiance is given to the wrong person and that his purposes for life don't meet her own. And then we're seeing seeds planted about someone like Koza. We're seeing that this is a person who's going to become a bigger and bigger deal and a large leadership. So there's all these seeds being planted the entire time. And I have a list of other seeds. Some of them come into fruition for harvest in part 2 of this, and some of them are for later on. But I liked these moments because it really showed here that, Crocodile Face was just going to leave people to linger inside of his building and make them unsafe, that she was like, ugh, I can't believe this is where I've given my allegiance, that I have to keep kissing his feet and bowing to his will in order to meet my own needs. And it's just no longer sitting with me. And when they're coming back to rescue them, we have this cute sneak moment, my good, great boy in chapter 175, where he's sneaking by Crocodile Face in trying to look like a people. Go Chopper, you're the cutest. And then Smoker starts to see fully who the Straw Hats are, the way that they're working together, the way that they're helping each other out, the way that the princess is so dedicated to them after this time that she spent, that she could have rescued herself, but instead she goes out to find Sanji because it is that important to her that she can rescue them. And so he sees the influence that these people have had. And then there's this really cool moment that I loved. I got to get a thesaurus. We got to have more words than moment. Luffy says, Zoro, save him. But he's the enemy. Leave him. But if we leave him, he'll die. He'll sink like an anchor. I know, but you don't owe me anything. It was the captain's orders. I'd have let you drown. Then
Love
you won't
that.
mind. Yeah, and that section there and that idea was really cool. But then the other one that was really cool is when they're sitting outside and they're like, Luffy says, whoa, smokes. So also he gave him a nickname.
Perfect.
Good guy. You still want to fight? So this is really cool because it shows that idea that Luffy has that, no, we bonded as friends. You understand where I come from. I can see that you're changing. It's impossible for me to believe that somebody who believes in justice could still feel like I was the target. It's kind of almost like he triggered for Smoker. Yeah, why do I still want to fight for him? He goes, is this kid for real? And he can see that he is changing and he is moving sides because he suddenly understands, like, yeah, what am I doing? And so he says, just this once, I'll let you get away. It's going to be more than once. You think so? You think so, Smokes, but let me tell you. I see your future.
So are we making a prediction that there will be a future moment where our good great buddy Smoker, where Smokes is like, ah shit, fine, one more time, I'll let you do some shit.
So my pedal goes up is that for a few times he's gonna keep being like, okay, I'm gonna let you get away this time too, and then eventually he's gonna be like, God damn it, I'm on his side. And he's going to be one of the people that helps Luffy take a position of power.
Let's make those two predictions because I think that's two different levels. One of them is Smoker's going to help Luffy take a position of power in the world and join his side. One of the predictions is that Smoker, at least one more time, will just let Luffy get away with some bullshit.
At least one more. It might be more than one. I'm going to cover some stuff and take the helm because you don't get to lead us up to Shish Kebab Creek. You're a bad kid, a bad kid. And so I'll lead us toward Shish Kebab Creek. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course.
Zoro reminds Vivi when they're on the crab and they're having these things that she has to trust in her team. And so she has to trust in Luffy's ability to take care of himself, but also has to trust in them to help her. And Luffy decides that Crocodile has to die because he doesn't want Vivi battling for the rest of his life. And I really like the time that he's talking and Miss Sunday is standing there listening to him. And he says, you're the idiot here because you're the one who doesn't understand that your greatest asset is friendship. And he basically tells Crocodile, like, who could think that throwing away friendship is the way to get stronger and to accomplish anything? And so Miss Sunday is sitting there and watching this and thinking about all the times that she's belittled and threatened by Crocodile Face and realizing that her alliance is with somebody who is leading without heart. And she sees Luffy, who is willing to throw himself in front of somebody who's clearly so powerful because he's not doing it for himself, he's doing it for somebody else. She just decides, I am not at the point yet that I can be a part of destroying you or a part of aiding you, so I'm going to leave. And she walks away from the fight and allows Luffy to have it one-on-one. And I think that was a really cool moment for us because I was saying, like, I think this is a time that I actually got to see the seed start to grow in her. And then we're into the Grand Line level. And he says, unlike some fools who are satisfied with their powers as they are, I condition myself to improve my skills. And then I said inside of my head, excellent notes, says Luffy. So I like that Luffy is being taught that there's more to being strong than just using what you have. It's learning what you have and all the possibilities of what it can do. So if you're just going to walk through life and find out what you're capable of in the moment, that's not going to be enough. I love that water that came from Toto ends up growing Luffy's arm back because Luffy found out information. That's another seed planter that comes back later. All sorts of things happen inside of there. Luffy fights so hard, but he puts a timer down and the timer is running out. And he still has this confidence and this strange bravado because it's the same way as when his head was going to get chopped off in Logtown. He just has this way of coming in at things. And then boom, right through his center. He's skewered in the middle. Blood's dripping everywhere. His energy and his husk of a body are being sucked away into the drying powers that are Crocodile Face, the disaster. And then his body is chucked down onto the ground. And then you think to yourself, self, can we stop here? Oh. Oh.
Can we? Could we stop there?
You're the worst.
Look,
100% no. Like, I didn't even have a choice. What was I going to do at this point? Just walk away? Yeah, that's good. We'll do the rest later.
I love this moment. I hate this moment, but I love it so much. I've gotten several people to read this series, and when they reach this point, I've had a few people who are like, my only critique so far really is that like everything feels too easy for Luffy. It feels like he's always strong enough that nothing threatens him. He can't lose. He's always going to win. Luffy doesn't lose. He's always strong enough. He can always do it. And you see him get skewered, bleeding, and just, it's drawn in such a way that you instantly know he lost. It's over. This fight is done. And at a moment where a country's at stake, it feels impossibly brutal.
It was wrecking. Oh, wait. So I could not possibly, in my defense.
In your defense.
Luffy was a shish kebab. I had to read forward.
Of course.
So this is not where we stop. But I get to do the thing because I'm the one who does the things about the stuff and the buttons.
Okay, so you want to do the stuff and the buttons?
Hey, are you human? Yeah, me too. If you're human and you enjoy this, press the like button. Maybe think about subscribing so that you can see all the great adventures of us humans in the future. And press the little bell so it has the all symbol so that every time something new happens, you're a part of the community. We're happy to have you here and we're looking forward to the future.
Let's talk about Jango's cover story, beginning to end. What did you think? What happens?
So I'm going to kind of move through it in an interesting clip. So the thing that I liked about Jango's, and I'm going to go back here, is that they created that neat relationship between him and the other dude, who we then later find out is a Navy guy. And they have all their dance competitions, and we get to see them having all this fun. And boy, did he really play into that dance time. Like, we danced in our cover stories for a long time and had competitions and went to parties and had all the fun in the entire world. And then when he is being held accountable, you're like, oh, wait, what? And he's going before the judge and the jury, and you're like, oh, you wait for the next cover story, and they are like, yeah, you're guilty, and we're going to kill you.
I mean, he was a pirate.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but it was a bit surprising. That's not the ending you think of happening. Suddenly you have his friend, which was once again, and so his friend starts having this huge dance power amazing moment, and the entire courtroom gets involved, and panel after panel, week to week, we just see them having their dance off as he's trying to get him acquitted. And it's this awesome thing because it shows how important their friendship is, and that even at the last moment, somebody who is in the Navy is going to put their neck on the line and beg the court to have forgiveness for them and try to get them acquitted because their friendship means more than their title. And they have quite a raucous dance-off, the Jango's Dance Paradise courtroom boogie. And then when he gets to the other side, they both see that woman. Do you know who the woman is? Because she ends up being in the later text, and I didn't write her name down here.
I think Hina. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, the Marine who becomes friends with Jango is Full Body, who's the one that complained in the restaurant in Baratier.
100%. It absolutely is, which is a really cool moment. And so, not moment. And so when they get off, they both see her, they both fall gaga over her, and they both become under her command because they want to serve under her. Such a cool ending for the two of them, and they work together on the ship, which makes them feel like a crew of two, like they're within side of the whole system, but they're also a crew of two. Really.
So let's do our closing segments. Favorite character of the part. Who's our top 5 MVPs of part 1 of Alabasta up to 178?
Okay, MVPs are really hard in this one. Okay.
Mr. 3, we skipped Mr. 3 saving the crew by being threatened to make a key. He's important.
Yeah, no, but Mr. 3 made a key. And Mr. 3 is definitely going to come back. That's in my prediction wheel.
Like predictions. Mr. 3 comes back.
Okay, you know what? Miss All Sunday.
Miss All Sunday's number 1. Oh.
Yeah, Miss All Sunday. Can't believe I just had to say that out loud, but I've done a lot of thinking. And her character was development after development after development. Number 2 isn't a question. I'm going to make it Sanji. He's coming in clutch all the time, knocking their asses out of jail. And this is a Sanji moment. Oh, and his awesome comedic moment of Le Crap Restaurant. Yeah, he was awesome in this one. And then I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna do a weird thing and you're gonna hate it, and that's just not my problem. 3 is a tie because the two of them were working as one.
I don't hate that. I think having a tie is fine.
They were learning from each other. They were giving each other everything they could before they were separated, and that is a Vivi Luffy tie.
I think that's great. No, I think they kind of act as perfect foils to each other this entire section.
They absolutely were. And so because they were such great foils, I want them to be 3 together, holding hands, braiding each other's hair.
Okay.
In a good way. And number 4 is Smoker.
Smoker, interesting. Now I have a big question for you. Big important question. Does Ace
5.
make top cut and get to 5?
Ace is 5.
Okay, I figured you wouldn't let him not be in the top 5 because you like You tend to like the few characters in One Piece that are just very cool.
I'm not gonna. I wanted to make Ace 1 so bad, but no, he's not. He just isn't.
He just doesn't do enough. He kind of just shows up, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, of the devil fruits introduced in part 1, we have the sand fruit, we have the fire fruit, we have the clone fruit. Is that it for first part for the new devil fruit?
No, we've got what was
the flower fruit.
Flower, good. And then we have the tweet fruit.
Oh yeah, Pel's falcon fruit. So of the new fruits introduced, which is your favorite?
Now I'm going to do all fruits all the time. I'll change them all the time. But here it goes.
Yeah.
Hanahana.
Okay.
Number 1.
We still have Nico Robin's fruit at the top.
And then it's the tweet fruit, because I likes to fly. I mean, I don't know, because I've never done it, but I'm pretty sure I would. I would be so good at it. And then, I think flame.
Okay. Yeah. Turning into fire, pretty badass.
Yeah, I just started to think there's a lot of applications. Flaming can boil water, create steam. It can lift things. It can burn things. You can create power with it. There's a lot of things that can be done. You'll never be cold. Then I'm going to go with the gum fruit. And then for now, the clone.
Alrighty. I think that's a good list. I think you got a good choice there.
Yeah, this picture you're making, that's horrific. Yeah, that describes my left offness at chapter 170. Hey, you know what, Mama? I really care about you. You're a great person. Stop at chapter 178.
Yeah, stop right here at chapter 178. I stand by that this is a good stopping point, that this separates the arc really well.
I could have stopped at 180.
You could have, but then the tone...
I know. I read ahead.
The tone is different. I think this is a good stopping point. Thanks for watching, YouTube. It's been great to have you. We're about to record the second one right away, so in a week from now, I should be posting the video, or you can pick up the VOD if you don't want to wait for the edited version. Did you want to...
Do I want to say goodbye?
Yeah, did you want... You said you did.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, YouTube. It's me, Mama Drawk. I just want to take you aside and say, I'm really sorry that you have to wait another week to not have Luffy skewered like a shish kebab hanging off of Crocodile Face's arm. I'm sorry.
I just want to say I'm not sorry. This is good. I've done a good thing, and until next time, it's been lovely talking to you.
I like that you end it with I'm not sorry.
Look, there's already one goofy art channel on the internet that ends every episode with I'm sorry. I can't... There's not space for two of them. I'm the unapologetic artist. I'm the artist who wants you to suffer. Kind of the bad boy of the goofy YouTube art world. You know, back in the day, we could only call it Smurf as it came from the Smurf region in Upper Provence.
You just made me wheeze laugh.
That's alright, it is just Blue Dwarf.
Your French accent should be used for every character ever.
Yeah, no, I do a pretty great and attractive French accent that everybody loves.